In this lesson, I want to introduce another way that we can solve the problem of the incorrect value of the this keyword being set when a event handler method such as handle click runs. So create React app by default sets up a configuration that supports the experimental class property syntax. What it means to be experimental is that this syntax is not yet part of the regular JavaScript programming language. It is a special syntax that Babel understands and transpiles for us into regular JavaScript that the browser can understand. In other words, if we were not using Babel and we used this syntax in a regular JavaScript file and we tried to load it in the browser, it would not work. It only works in this scenario because we have Babel working for us, because Create React App sets it up under the hood. And this syntax is a lot more elegant and easier to wrap our heads around. So the first thing we can do is get rid of the ugly code from the previous lesson on line 8. And what we're going to do is transform this method on line 10 into an arrow function. And this is a special syntax because, again, in regular JavaScript, we can define arrow functions, certainly in places like here, right? But we cannot simply define an arrow function that looks like this in the body of a class definition. But we can do that with this syntax. So we're not going to need the const keyword like we have right here. We're simply going to write the name of our method, in this case, handle click. Then I'm going to provide an equal sign. And just like on line number 3, it's going to be the parameter list right here in our parentheses, then the arrow function syntax like so. And I'm going to remove line number 3. That was just a friendly reminder of how arrow functions look like. So the syntax for this type of method declaration, it is still an instance method declaration, is we write the method name, then an equal sign, then an arrow function in line. All right, and this is called the class property definition because technically we're defining handle click as a property on the class, but we don't have to worry about those technical details just yet. So we define the name of the method, then an equal sign, and then an arrow function. And this syntax is different, of course, from what we're doing with constructor and render. So it's important to just observe those visual differences for a moment and just commit them to memory. So in the body of this function right here, or this method, that this keyword will always be correctly set to the app object, to the app component, to the current instance that we have created from this class. So we never have to bind it or do anything like that because this will be correctly bound to the app object within the body of this method. So the code will work as expected. So on the right-hand side, when I click log into account, that triggers this logic to run, which tells React to invoke handle click. Handle click has the this keyword set to the app React component, so it does correctly have a set state method. That set state method specifies that we should update the text state property to register. That is an update to state triggered by set state, which means React re-renders this, which means text is equal to register, and that's what we display in the middle of the button as its text. All right, so the exact same flow of logic occurs. It's just that the syntax is a little bit different. And this is what I will use now 100% of the time in any React projects where I'm using class-based React components. All right, that's all there is to cover in this lesson. So I will see you in the next one.